Fit like everybody, this is Dane from the Local Studies Centre of Aberdeenshire Library Services. Here is part 2 of the Witches of Aberdeenshire podcast. Enjoy.
The sort of things that mainly women got accused of were things that were accepted, and certainly women in the community were very much involved in things like childbirth. They were also very good at healing, and this sort of thing was accepted. And even the church did not have too much of a problem with it. However, they began to change. These practices became accusations of witchcraft, and they were called ditties or accusations, and the process started with that. After that, there would be an arrest. The person who had been accused would be incarcerated, and because they could not go to trial until they had actually confessed. So in actual fact, before they could go to a trial, they had to be guilty, and only at the trial could they perhaps, although it never really happened, be proved innocent. So while they were being incarcerated in very horrible conditions, mainly toll booths or in churches, for example, they would suffer torture, and there were many examples of how they did that. Some of those torture practices would be sleep deprivation. They would walk the witch. They would use pillywinks, which were thumb screws that pulled out the witch's nails. They would particularly prick the witch, and pricking was a profession at that time. It meant you could earn quite big money, and what the idea of pricking was that you had a 6-inch needle, and that you pricked the witch, who would be naked, and you would try to find a place on her body that did not bleed, and the more places you found, the more payment was made by the pricker. Other things like ducking, where the witch was ducked, and so on. So there was a lot of things done to these accused women. Remember, they were accused. What were they accused of? I said it was mainly to do with local midwifery.
That's all the time we have for part 2, but join me again very soon for part 3. If you like these podcasts, please like, share, and subscribe.